missing. Huh? Oh, it's a birthday today. Okay. So we start once again with chemical reactions and just start noting down the way I tell you. This is your revision. Number one, please make it a point to see the previous videos. The previous videos are little bit elaborate, but if you study elaborate, you get to know the basics. Number two, you have to have your short notes ready. Short notes. What are short notes? Short notes are anything in bold in Lakshmir Singh Manjeet Kaur LSMK. Anything in bold. Start making it. तभी even if it is writing the same thing, chemical reaction जैसे हमें लिखा ना, are the processes in which new substances are formed. Right, that is the way. Second, with this, somehow you have to manage your some previous sample papers. All are available on net. Many I have also shared with you. The first thing to do with this is go to cbsc.nic.in. There CBSE always releases sample paper for a particular year. So you will be having the sample paper for 2023 2024 आपका सीनियर बैच. कम से कम उसको तो उठा लो, देखो कि पेपर दिखता कैसा है. The question will be in English, Hindi, what time it is, because you are now getting prepared, right? Number 4, there would be a book called, जैसे Zam Idea type books है, it can be a Zam Idea, it can be Arihant. Start using the internet, okay? It can be an MTG, and look for, आप सैंपल बुक तो उठाओ. अभी शायद आपके ईयर का सैंपल बुक निकला नहीं होगा. मेरे घर में तो नहीं, बाहर से. I also smell it. I do smell it, but it's not in my house. Milk मेरे घर में किचन में गैस ही नहीं है. Only thing that can be burning is a electrical fault. Na? Just one. No, it's somebody smoking upstairs. It happens when the person smokes upstairs, I don't know, or downstairs. Generally, the vapor should go up, hot air rises up. It happens. The other day when you are left, वो होता है, चला जाएगा थोड़ी देर. ठीक है. Zam Idea और Arihant और MTG for sample books. Now, your sample books right now may not be published by the publisher as of now. Doesn't matter. When they publish a new one, the strategy is the old one, they will make it more costly. Start getting to with your friends and all, and if their friends say, no, I'll need it in my 11-12, tell your friend it is absolutely kachra for 11-12. Because when you go to 11-12, this level of physics that you are studying is called toy physics, toy chemistry. इसका कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. If he doesn't want to give you, it will be only trash for him. This will be of no use for him, right? तो सैम्पल बुक्स देखिएगा, पुराना अगर आपको मिले तो आपको क्वेश्चंस मिलेंगे. Then you have to also do question sorting now. Question sorting. Okay, for mathematics, your strategy should be R.S. Agarwal. I would, Vivan, don't worry, you have R.S. Agarwal as soft also. So don't worry. Immediately first have R.S. Agarwal. First be NCRT, followed by R.S. Agarwal, followed by, there is a booklet of Kumar Swami बोल के एक सर का मैंने शेयर करके रखा है इंटरनेट में, राइट? ही इज फ्रॉम केवी गच्चीबौली ओनली. सो उनका एक बुकलेट है, उसमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स है, वो भी कर लिया तो बहुत ज्यादा. देन वी विल गो टू दिस. मैथ्स का ये स्टैंड रखा करो आप. एंड व्हेन यू आर डूइंग फिजिक्स question sorting, you have to parallelly maintain one book, which you will not do actually. You have to maintain a book where you have to take questions versus answers. This is a writing practice that you should have. If you don't have this writing practice, you might feel that, sir, I read it through my eyes, you will not be able to bring down the answer to the required number of words and lose time. लिखिए. और ये चीज तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है सोशल और हिंदी में, जो कि आप करोगे ही नहीं. यू राइट हिंदी ओनली ऑन द एग्जाम डे एट द एग्जाम हॉल. A very nice measure of your study will be the number of refills and the number of pens you are purchasing. That will be a direct measure. If you think that your pens खत्म हो रहे हैं, इसका मतलब आप लिख रहे हो. लिखना तो है, हैबिट रखना है. क्वेश्चन आंसर्स मतलब जैसे ये सॉर्टिंग करोगे ना क्वेश्चन, जैसे शॉर्ट आंसर क्वेश्चन आ गया, ठीक है, डिफाइन रिएक्टेंस, तो ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को आप करो. टेक वन डे संडे वेर यू पिक अप अ सैम्पल बुक, बिकॉज द सैम्पल बुक विल हैव, there will be chapter oriented questions and sometimes it can be a science question paper. In that science question paper maybe you will get only one question from 1-2 marker from chemical reaction. कर लो उसको, वो question लिखो. Slowly what will happen, you will create such a repository that you have a book where all questions are there, and among friends don't be idiots to buy the same brand of sample books. That is the most idiotic thing you will do. If you all mix all with yourselves and you have groups, एक ही किताब सब लोग मत खरीदो. That is the biggest idiotic thing you can do. Start hunting for Google groups. There are a lot of Google groups where you will find a lot of these things. There are a lot of Instagram handles where you will find a lot of these things. Upfront मैं बोल रहा हूँ है, ठीक है. There are Telegram channels. So suppose if Zoe has purchased this, you ensure you do this. Then swap it, because after 1 year this is trash. Unless and until you have a sibling at home, this will be of no use. ठीक है. And write. The more you write, you create a repository of all question and answers. Most important from history, geography, bio, science. I am only talking physics, chemistry. But these three players, क्या? रोहित शर्मा, विराट कोहली एंड सूर्य किरण यादव, यही आपका स्कोर नहीं बनाएगा. आपको बुमराह तक पढ़ना है, सब लोग स्कोर बनाएगा, है ना. ठीक है. This should be your idea now. And textbook reading is must. There will be a clash, specifically now since the course has been moderated. Always take the NCERT. Earlier we never did this. NCERT versus Lakshmi Singh Manjit Kaur. Pick up the topics. This will be a bigger topic because this book has not been. This book was written like pre-COVID type, and then just map the topics that are here, right? And you study only these topics. That is how I am also teaching you. There will be many other topics. उनको छोड़ दो, अभी देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. NCERT will be your Bible. If NCERT में जो है वही यहाँ से पढ़ना है, इसमें ज्यादा रहेगा. पहले ये और ये बराबर होता था, तो ये एक्सरसाइज कभी नहीं करते थे हम. Now after you people becoming प्यारा बच्चास of CBSE, ये कटते कटते, have you seen the new grade 9 maths book? It is even patla than your size. Yeah, I have this much. You had this. No, it is even this. And if you should see the grade 8 maths book, it looks like वो पंडित जी एक किताब लाता है ना, वैसा हो गया. So NCERT book, absolutely. ठीक है. तो ये है आपका strategy. And if you ask theory कैसे पढ़ना है, I am now planning to make short videos and put on YouTube. Theory कैसे पढ़ना है? First is textbook. First read the textbook very nicely. Textbook, notes, done. Keep it. Next time when you study, you no more go to the textbook. You read your notes. And with your notes, you should be able to do all these things. ठीक है? चलिए. And with your seniors and all, if you try to get hold of seniors, जाके ये सब निकालो. हाँ, whoever are there in your schools and all, try to get previous year papers. इतना don't go on a spree of buying books. चलो. So our chapter is all about chemical reactions and chemical equations. Okay, so we go with the basic. Chemical reaction means what? You will have new substances being formed. New substances with new properties. I am giving outline of the topic. If there is something to be dealt in what you call depth, I'll deal it. New substances with new properties. And this thing is denoted by something that we have studied in our previous classes, that is in grade 7 and 8, which is known as a chemical change. Whenever a chemical change happens, you get a new substance with new properties, right? In this chemical change, you will always have new substance, new properties, then you will have energy exchange will take place. Energy exchange. That is, energy can either be absorbed or energy can be released. Energy can be released, right? Energy can be absorbed or energy can be released, and this energy is usually absorbed or released in the form of heat, light, or sound. And a chemical change में एक और चीज याद रखिए, because see, from last year onwards you are getting application driven questions, so they may give you a big one diagram where there will be one funnel and some process going on, so your understanding should be very correct. This chemical change cannot be reversed easily by usual methods of something like distillation, etc. Cannot be reversed easily. If milk has formed curd, then it's a chemical reaction. Curd cannot be made milk so easily. ये नहीं हो सकता है. However, if ice melts to water, water can be frozen back to ice. That is the difference between physical change. So in chemical reactions, remember, there will always be new substances which will be formed with new properties, and a chemical reaction is actually a representation of a chemical change. Energy will be exchanged. There will be absorption or release of energy in the form of heat, light, and sound, and this chemical change cannot be reversed. Okay. Another thing that we study here in chemical reaction is that, okay, we'll start. Now, this chemical reaction is performed by participant elements or compounds. There are elements or compounds, participant elements or compounds. So if it's elements, they will be participated by atoms or even molecules. Elements can be represented by both, whereas compounds can be represented only by molecules. Okay, these are the participant elements and compounds, which are atoms and molecules, or molecules, and these together are known as the reactants. Reactants are those elements or compounds which participate in a chemical reaction, So the elements and compounds participate through their atoms or molecules. Elements can participate as atoms or as molecules, whereas compounds can only participate as molecules, right? So these reactants, our job is these reactants will react. React means the chemical change which will take place, and the chemical change in another way we will study is that there will be bonds which will either be broken, नए bonds बनेंगे, or existing bonds may be broken. They can happen simultaneously, and new bonds will be formed. And this will give rise to products. And products can again be elements or compounds, represented by again atoms or molecules, and here only molecules, right? So this was grade 7 perspective. Now this is grade 10 chemical change. In a chemical change, bonds are formed. So the impact happens on bonds. What are the impacts that happens? Bonds are either broken or new bonds will be formed. Here one more thing we will remember, that atoms do not change. That is, the elements do not change, the atoms do not change, the atoms only rearrange. Atoms rearrange, and rearrange is nothing but ये तो है ना, broken होने से भी ये होगा, new bonds form होने से भी ये होगा. Atoms do not change, they just get rearranged. So are we clear on a chemical reaction? In a chemical reaction, we will have reactants, who are the participant elements or compounds, and they are participating in the form of atoms, molecules, and they react. This reaction is the chemical change. During reaction, new bonds will be either formed and existing bonds will be broken. That will give rise to products. Products will be either elements or compounds. Remember, an oxygen atom, what do I mean by this atoms do not change? What I mean by this, an oxygen atom does not get converted to a carbon atom. Atoms do not change, they just rearrange. Maybe the oxygen atom was attached to hydrogen as a part of water, it got attached to carbon as a part of carbon dioxide. आप गठबंधन सरकार जैसा है, you as an MLA or MP will remain the same, you will just switch your allies. ठीक है? Now when this reaction happens, they react, as I said. When this reaction happens, this will also happen under certain conditions, and these conditions are usually given by temperature, pressure, and presence of something called catalyst. All these we will study. Presence of something. ये हमारा माइंड मैप है ना? इसको जब भी आप बनाते हो ना, सी आई हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ मेकिंग अ माइंड मैप, आप बुक को कन्वर्ट कर लो लैंडस्केप मोड में. एक बार ये माइंड मैप रेडी हो गया, एंड देन यू कैन मेक योर ओन क्लीनर वर्जन ऑफ इट आल्सो, बट योर पर्सपेक्टिव शुड बी क्लीन. जैसे मैं बुक नहीं देख रहा हूँ, आपको भी देखने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. धीरे धीरे आपको ऑटोमेटिक याद आता रहेगा. देयर विल बी सर्टेन कंडीशंस ऑफ प्रेशर, टेम्परेचर एंड कैटलिस्ट. And what else we have to read here? We have to read in grade 10 something more important is this part. This part we have to read. So in this part we will see that you can either take in energy or you can liberate energy. इससे हमारा दो और चीज पढ़ेंगे हम. Those things will be known as, if you are taking in energy, this will give rise to the topic of endo. If you are giving out, this will be exothermic. This also we have to cover, है ना? So that now since you know the topic, इसलिए मैं बार बार लिख रहा हूँ, endothermic or it can be exothermic. ठीक है? Now this is theory. Theory means, sir, you are saying everything about chemical reactions on a blackboard, which is very easy to understand. But as a layman, how do I understand that chemical reaction took place? हमने तो रात को दूध रखा था, गर्मी में वो दही बन गया. वो केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ कि नहीं, हमें कैसे पता? So for that we also have to study in chemical reactions something else in this chapter, which is known as characteristics. We have to study characteristics in this chapter. After characteristics, we will study types of chemical reaction. After types of chemical reaction, we also have to see, whenever you study types, you have to study examples, and this is where maximum application driven question may come. Types and example. Suppose you study something called neutralization reaction, acid reacting with base. I can very well bring the human digestion process, indigestion and having antacid can also be put here. Application driven. Types and examples. Then in chemical reaction we will also learn something called balancing. बस, और चैप्टर में कुछ नहीं है अगर आप मन लगा के सोचो तो. Just try to recap what we studied. Characteristics, that will come in types of reaction na. We will study characteristics, evolution of gas, change of color, formation of precipitate, right? Exchange of heat, there endo and exo will come up. Then we will study types of all the 4 types of reaction. Then we will study balancing and और कुछ नहीं है चैप्टर में, आप ढूंढ के देख लो. Our next job will be to give you lot of equations. ये ले लीजिए, सोच के देखो, चैप्टर में और कुछ नहीं है. यस सर.
आपने एंडो और एक्सो के ऊपर जो लिखा है
कैटलिस्ट के ऊपर मैंने लिखा है कि ये रिएक्शंस कुछ कंडीशन में होते हैं बेटा. ऐसा नहीं कि आप मिला देने से हो जाएगा, आपको वो कंडीशन पैदा करना होगा. दैट कंडीशन विल बी टेम्परेचर, प्रेशर. मतलब आपको you have to create that temperature, create that pressure. See, we say hydrogen and oxygen react together to form water. That does not mean you open one hydrogen cylinder and I open one oxygen cylinder and we see बढ़िया water coming out. That's not the case. सानवी, टाई निकाल हुआ देख के गर्मी लगे. You be comfortable. School gone. She's बेचारी still with the tie on. I somehow always used to say, why people penalize kids with tie? Studying in a convent school, whole life we used to, and that too we are not supposed to keep it loose. When you are kiddos, then you get the tie with that elastic hook on your back. Then when you grow up, you get the long tie. You're supposed to make your knot. उसको ढीला करने से ही Sister Superior used to tell us, and it just chokes you. And she has got Chinese tie collars, so it must be choking her. Be comfortable. Done. We move to our second part. And some reactions I'll keep writing now. Just see, I have made one handout like this. I will also make you write this handout. Okay? So that it becomes easy for you. So the first reaction that we were going to study will be something like new substances with new properties. इसके ऊपर हम reaction इसको मिटाएं. All done? चलो बच्चा. Now a lot of people ask me, sir, do we need to remember the reactions that you are giving? If you can remember, nothing like it, because if you're going to study chemistry in grade 11, there will be much more reactions than this. If you cannot remember, at least remember a reaction of every type of example. But I would suggest nobody remembers reaction. People understand chemistry and then reaction comes naturally. Okay? The first thing, where many years we have seen question coming in CBSE is the example of magnesium ribbon. ऐसे लिख के रख दूंगा ताकि ये क्वेश्चन आने से आपको समझ में आ जाए magnesium ribbon का एग्जाम्पल. These are chapo problem, magnesium ribbon. The first thing here you need to remember is magnesium ribbon always has to be scraped. That is to remove the oxide layer. All these air conditioners you have seen, which are fixed right at your, they are all having copper pipes. Copper looks just like gold. But if you look at the pipe of these AC pipes, they are all dark, black and green. That's because they've got copper oxide layer. Take a knife or take a sandpaper and you just sand it for some time. Even you will see the welder before welding, he'll sand it. It will become just like gold. Similarly, when we will be burning, magnesium ribbon burning, this is the example, and this might come as a question which is used for application driven. Magnesium ribbon burning, before burning the ribbon, you have to scrape the ribbon. And what do you do to remove the oxide layer? Magnesium will always have a, magnesium is very reactive. And the same thing we studied, that why are ships coated with magnesium? Ships are coated with magnesium because magnesium forms a layer called magnesium oxide. And I told you, एक बार magnesium oxide बन गया, you cannot penetrate. Okay, magnesium oxide is a hard layer. So you have to scrape it to remove the magnesium layer, and then magnesium burns in air, Mg plus O2. Mg being a metal is solid, O2 is gas, right? And we have to burn it. That means we show heat. This is the condition that we are showing. Delta. Delta stands for heat. Heat. It will give you Mg. क्या होगा? Magnesium is in which group? Group 2. Always remember, magnesium is in group 2. Therefore, valence electron 2. So all the 2 electrons will be lost. यही भी लिखते जा रहा हूं अभी. Magnesium will always have a tendency to form Mg2 plus 2 electrons. Magnesium gives away 2 electrons. Oxygen needs 2 electrons. यहाँ पे oxygen को देखो, oxygen कैसा होता है? Oxygen always gains 2 electron and becomes O2 minus. बराबर शादी होगा इनका. तो शादी क्या हो गया? MgO. ठीक है ना? तो इसको कैसे करेंगे? 2Mg plus O2, 2MgO. ठीक है? And when magnesium oxide is formed, this will be a white powder. This process is characterized by brilliant white light. Brilliant white light. The pencil that you burn in Diwali is having magnesium in it. ये हो गया आपका पहला reaction. The next time, see, so much of detailing we have done, you should not have doubt now, sir, Mg is MgO or MgO2. That also, this part is given to you. Magnesium being in group 2, will always form. At your grade 10 level in group 2, at your grade 10 level in group 2, you will be dealing mostly with two elements, magnesium, calcium. This will also form 2 plus 2 plus. याद रखिए कैल्शियम का ऑक्साइड भी होगा CaO, हाइड्रोक्साइड होने से CaOH2, MgOH2, क्लोराइड होने से MgCl2, CaCl2. ठीक है, हो गया. चलिए मिटाओ इसको. एनीवन? या एनी क्वेश्चन यू कैन आस्क. So some examples of chemical reaction in daily life. When they ask you definition of a chemical reaction, some of the examples in daily life: cooking of food, ripening of fruits, rusting of iron. These are examples. Example driven बहुत आता है. Pick up examples. Daily life of chemical reaction. Number 1, cooking. When you cook food, cooking of food. Number 2, ripening of fruits, formation of curd. Number 4, rusting. These are all daily life examples where reaction is. ये सब में नया चीज बन रहा है. ठीक है. Burning of candle, that's also there. So the way we are studying now is that we know the topic, we are trying to go in depth to understand whether we have understood all funda or not. ठीक है, हो गया. चलिए अब हम घुसेंगे characteristics पे. This one done. Anyone has any doubt here? I would want you all to have a lot of attention on these aspects. This will be very helpful in grade 11. Very very helpful. ठीक है. चलिए अब हम चलते हैं हमारे अगले टॉपिक पे. Our next topic, and then when the first term exams are held in school, no excuse will be heard. Sir, actually I did one silly mistake. मत घुसना घर पे, बाहर बैठे रहना. और नहीं तो क्या. Go and see. It's not because I'm boasting about. कौन से ट्यूशन क्लास में एक ही चैप्टर को दोबारा पढ़ाया जाता है. अब 2 बार पढ़ रहे हैं हम, प्लस वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग, 2 रिकॉर्डिंग्स. ठीक है. चलो characteristics, and this is your golden chance to do all prashchit of all the pap you did during the holidays of not studying. The first characteristic we are going to study is evolution of gas. Let's first briefly understand evolution of gas. मतलब क्या? There can be certain. So why are we studying this? Let's ask ourselves. So we have got all theory knowledge about chemical reactions, but in our real time, how do I get to know? आंखों से भी तो कुछ देखना चाहिए. बोर्ड में लिख दिया that this atom and this atom reacts, reaction happens. Sir said that bonds break, bonds join. I did not see anything happening. But for you, there should be some indicator. Like formation of curd was an indicator. All the examples you saw here are real life indicators. Ripening of fruit. You brought some raw bananas, kept it on the dining table, the next day it's ripened. Rusting, right? Then formation of curd, burning of candle. These are real life examples we can see. But the entire gamut of chemical reactions are not limited to only these. So we should have some chemistry oriented characteristics. So one of the characteristic is evolution of gas. So we'll say certain chemical reactions show are, or the word I'll say is, are characterized. Characterized means इसकी एक खूबी है. Certain, not all. Characterized by evolution of gas. Means gas will be formed. ये चीज जान के रखिए. ऐसे रिएक्शन में गैस फॉर्म होगा, मीन्स गैस विल बी फॉर्म्ड. राइट? चलिए, when we talk about this word called gas, now since you are doing revision, this should send out two tremors in your mind. The two, yes, very good. This is the way you should study. मजा आ गया. The two gases you are going to study are hydrogen, carbon dioxide. थोड़ा थोड़ा प्रॉपर्टीज भी देख लेते हैं. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जो होता है ना, ये भाई साहब फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर है. Means it does not support combustion, because there might be some question where they'll say a gas was formed which does not support combustion. Fire extinguisher. So another word is does not support what? Combustion. Does not support combustion and is also heavier than air. Heavier than air. मतलब कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड अगर आप रिलीज कर दोगे ऊपर नहीं जाएगा, नीचे रहेगा. एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को एक और चीज हम पढ़ते थे, अगर आप सब्लिमेशन करोगे कहीं ना कहीं इसका भी यूज आएगा. यू गेट व्हाट इज नोन एज ड्राई आइस. All the ice that you see in fish market and all frozen shops and all, they're all dry ice. Otherwise fish market में इतना ice, if they melt, the whole fish market people have to bring boats and sail. Doesn't happen. Do we study anything more about carbon dioxide? This is what we study. Maybe in this chapter, maybe in some other chapter. But इतना तो पढ़ेंगे ही. ठीक है. हाइड्रोजन के बारे में भी खूबसूरती सब लिख लेते हैं. हाइड्रोजन इज अ डेंजरस गैस. लाल से लिखेंगे इसको, भैया भस्मासुर है. एक्सप्लोसिव. दिस इज एन एक्सप्लोसिव गैस. अरे सपोर्टर तो लिखना है. ऑक्सीजन इज सपोर्ट. इज एक्सप्लोसिव मतलब फ्लेमेबल है ये. वेरी वेरी डेंजरस. और कहां पढ़ेंगे इसको? क्लोरएल्कली प्रोसेस में पढ़ेंगे. नाउ स्टार्ट स्टिचिंग योर एंटायर स्टडी. क्लोरएल्कली प्रोसेस में भी इसको पढ़ना है, राइट? क्लोरएल्कली प्रोसेस में, क्लोरएल्कली बोले तो दिमाग में यहीं पे भी थोड़ा लिख लेंगे क्या क्या प्रोडक्ट आता था क्लोरएल्कली में. हाइड्रोजन, क्लोरीन एंड NaOH. नॉनसेंस यू आर सेइंग. एंड दीस टू मिक्स टुगेदर एंड फॉर्म HCl. 4 प्रोडक्ट मिलते हैं क्लोरएल्कली प्रोसेस में. ये चैप्टर में नहीं पढ़ेंगे, आगे पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है. अब इसके बाद देखो कितना इंटरेस्टिंग है. आप लोग क्या करते हो ना, आप ऐसे पढ़ते नहीं हो. पढ़ने से यू डोंट नीड अ बुक ओनली, यू स्टार्ट. इससे ज्यादा तो कहां क्वेश्चन पूछेगा. ऑल क्वेश्चंस विल बी फ्रॉम हियर ओनली. नाउ इसका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक होगा लाइम वाटर टर्न्स लाइम वाटर मिल्की. इसका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक होगा पॉप साउंड, मैचस्टिक. अब इन दोनों को देखेंगे. और मैचस्टिक कैसा है? सर हम तो मैचस्टिक लाए थे, पॉप साउंड किया ही नहीं. अरे भूतनिका, डिड यू ब्रिंग द लाइटेड मैचस्टिक? नो सर, हम ऐसे ही लेके गए थे. सो वी शुड बी लाइटेड मैचस्टिक. हैव यू हैड शुगरकेन जूस आउटसाइड समटाइम्स? सो जो एक बार घुसा के निकल के वन मोर होता है ना, these notes that we are making today is like that, one more. If you drink this also, absolute nutrition you will get. तेजस, इसको पी लो. ये नोट्स को, ये वीडियो क्लास एकदम आराम से देखना. पिछला वाला नहीं भी देखा होगा, सर आपका चेहरा ही पसंद नहीं है इसलिए वीडियो नहीं देखते. तो ये वाला जरूर देख लेना, दया करना मेरे पे. या फिर वो इंस्टाग्राम में बना मुंह में एक स्माइली लगा देते हैं, wherever you go smiley will go. Clear? Wow, are these laughing, smiling, not laughing, smiling. चलो अब देखते हैं evolution of gas. So let's see the reactions. These reactions please write. Before writing this reaction, what you should keep in your mind? Metal plus acid will always give you metal salt and will liberate hydrogen gas. ये याद रखिए. Metal as a solid, acid as aqueous, metal salt as aqueous. This reaction will be sufficient. Any reaction in this category can support this. ठीक है, चलते हैं evolution of gas में. This is for hydrogen वाला. So our first example would be, we will take zinc as a metal, Zn solid. We will react it with sulfuric acid. H2SO4, sulfuric acid. Okay, as and when we write acids also, I am writing for acids. The acids that will be coming very common for you, sulfuric acid. Sir, formula H2SO4, ionization 2H plus SO4 2 minus. Okay. Another acid that will eat your head like anything is hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid. HCl, ionization H plus Cl minus. Okay? And all ionizations happen in aqueous medium only, and we'll also take nitric acid out here. Nitric acid will be HNO3 and it will split as H plus NO3 minus, and we'll take one more which is H2CO3, carbonic acid will split as 2H plus CO3 2 minus, and 5 will take a organic acid CH3CO. CH3CO will split as H plus CH3 COO minus. Write the names also. This is known as sulfate. This ion is known as sulfate. We will deal this in metals and non-metals. This is known as chloride. Chlorine is gas. The ion form is not chlorine, it's chloride. When the element comes alone as an ion, it is known as ide. Chloride, bromide, iodide, sulfide, H2O oxide, CO2 oxide, IDE. तो क्या बोलेंगे? और हायर ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट में हम क्या बोलते हैं? 8 सल्फेट, सल्फाइड. सल्फाइड इज SO3, सल्फाइड इज S. अकेला आने से IDE. H2S, rotten egg, हाइड्रोजन सल्फाइड. SO3 होने से सल्फाइट, ITE. Lower is known as ITE, higher is known as ATE. In case of anion, in case of cation, they will be known as ic and us. Ferric, ferrous. Cupric, cuprous. ठीक है, ये हो गया हमारा क्लोराइड. कहा करोगे 11 में? नहीं तो ये हो गया. सर, आई हेट केमिस्ट्री. ओह या, आई न्यू दैट. Carbonate. And this one is acetate. Don't say CH38. Acetate. So its salt will be known as acetate. Sodium acetate. Citric acid होता तो citrate. Lactic acid होता तो lactate. ठीक है हो. तो इसको कंप्लीट करो. This is aqueous. It will give you metal salt. Zn. Now look at Zn. Zn is also, it's a metal. So Zn आपको क्या दिखाएगा? Zn's normal thing is always Zn2 plus 2 electrons. So Zn is 2 plus, SO4 is 2 minus. बढ़िया शादी. ZnSO4. Aqueous. And releases hydrogen. Just see any balancing required? Sir, no balancing required. Whenever marriage happens without any Dahej and all, no balancing is required. Without Dahej means you understood? Same oxidation number marrying same oxidation state. Not oxidation number, oxidation state. Zn is not same, opposite. And hydrogen is your gas. यही क्वेश्चन पलटा के आपको दे दिया तो दूसरे एसिड के साथ ले लो भाई. कैसे लेते तुम? ऐसे लेते. अब क्या होगा जरा सोचो. अब यहाँ पे एक और बात आती है. हम क्लोरीन के साथ बात कर रहे हैं. क्लोरीन इज इन ग्रुप 17. दैट मीन्स हाउ मेनी? 7 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन. मतलब ये एक इलेक्ट्रॉन को तो एब्जॉर्ब करेगा. इट विल ऐड 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन. Therefore, chlorine will always accept 1 electron and form Cl minus. Right? Chlorine forms Cl minus and this is Zn2 plus. तो बोलेगा हम तो दो शादी करेंगे. हाँ, दो शादी करो भाई. ZnCl2 aqueous and NH2 as a gas. ठीक है. अब Cl2 and H2 done. So have you understood? And lighted matchstick means what? Whenever this hydrogen is coming, bring a matchstick and ensure कि ये lighted हो. ये lighted हो. Then it will burn with pop, pop, ठप ठप करके फटेगा ये. वाव मत कर, यही गलती करके आएगा तो. हाँ. वाव. तब जब नहीं आएगा ना तो मैं बोलूंगा आओ धुलाई खाओ। So we have just covered the hydrogen part. हमने हाइड्रोजन पार्ट को कवर किया है, hydrogen's evolution. Now we need to also cover the CO2 part. So now start thinking yourself. Start thinking yourself. A metal was reacted with an acid. You got hydrogen. Where did the hydrogen come from? So the hydrogen came from the acid. Now I want to bring out CO2. I want to bring out CO2. तो रिएक्टेंट में कहीं तो CO2 का कुछ रहना पड़ेगा ना. What does your brain think now without looking at the book? If you want a CO2 at the carbonate, we have to have some carbonate salt. Carbonate से CO2 निकल सकता है. This thought process has to work. This is then you are learning chemistry. You want to have potato fries, तो कम से कम आलू का कुछ तो रहना पड़ेगा ना घर पे. So we will take a for CO2. We'll study it for evolution of gas में CO2 भी आता है. So for CO2, take any carbonate salt and react it with acid. Yaar, we studied this. Acid reacts with metal carbonate to form. Think. Metal carbonate. Metal carbonate will give me what? Metal carbonate will give me carbon dioxide. Acid will have an anion who will marry the metal. See, metal carbonate means metal and carbonate. ये तो स्प्लिट हो जाएगा, इससे CO2 निकलेगा. ये मेटल क्या करेगा? वो एसिड के एनायन के साथ शादी करेगा, एक नया सॉल्ट फॉर्म होगा और CO3 से CO2 बना तो एक ऑक्सीजन भी मिला और एसिड का हाइड्रोजन भी रहेगा और पानी भी बनता भाई, H2O भी बनेगा. So carbonate salt plus acid, it will give me another salt plus CO2 plus water. This is the guiding principle. This reaction you should remember. जैसे यहाँ पे guiding principle ये है, यहाँ पे guiding principle ये होगा. Clear हुआ अभी? Are you see, if you are feeling that you are learning it the same way you learned the first time, then we are not adding value. If you think नहीं अभी सर थोड़ा पिक्चर क्लियर हो रहा है बेटर से, तो आपको, और आप घर में अगर पढ़ोगे जो कि आप नहीं करते हो, तो पिक्चर अभी आपका कैटरैक्ट विजन है. once you study at home तो कैटरैक्ट हट जाएगा और विजन और अच्छा हो जाएगा. Somebody on that YouTube video of human eye has written, I don't know who is she is, sir very nice explanation. कोई सौम्या है उसका नाम. चलो फालतू बातें बहुत करते हैं ना हम लोग. कार्बोनेट सॉल्ट Na2CO3. What is this?
Sodium carbonate.
That I also know. And what? Sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate is also known as soda ash. Soda ash, as long as you are anhydrous, you cannot forget now, sir, this is there in that chapter. So what? Anhydrous. And if you have 10 molecules of H2O with it, this is washing soda. Yeah. Aparna is smiling. Na2CO3, right? Let's put it with HCl. So let's form the salt. Now just look. H will split up, Cl will split up, Na Cl को साथ शादी करेगा तो नाकल फॉर्म होगा यहाँ पे, प्लस CO2 प्लस H2O. अभी जरा बैलेंसिंग करो, Cl पे सब हो जाएगा. Cl 1Cl एंड और इसे सोडियम 2 है तो यहाँ पे 2 लगाओ, 2Cl 2HCl करो, बस सब बैलेंस हो गया, all balanced. And please don't forget to give the status, at least in this chapter: aqueous, gas, liquid. And had you used a bicarbonate salt, इसका bicarbonate use कर दोगे. Now we are studying what? We are studying acid, bases and salt का reaction देख रहे हैं. Bicarbonate को HCl के साथ react कराओ, कैसा form होगा? So again same thing, नाकल will be formed. With नाकल CO2 will be formed and H2O will be formed. But some good thing will happen is, since one sodium, इसमें और balancing करने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you are using Na2, then balancing comes. If you don't do, so our interest, madam, is what? Our interest is this in this particular discussion: evolution of gas, evolution of gas. Can I have the right side, please? Very good. So on right side, we're going to now see. In that, you actually understood for pop sound. Now here we will understand the characteristic for this CO2. Lime water turns milky. अब हम इसको पढ़ेंगे. Lime water turns milky. This entire story. Lime water. Yes, very good. सुर में गाओ लेकिन. Turns milky. वो भी काम ठीक से नहीं करते हो. Lime water turns milky. So the reaction starts with the first step, in which you bring CaO, calcium oxide, also known as what? Quicklime. This is solid, known as calcium oxide. Quicklime reacts with H2O, liquid, will produce CaOH2. This is known as slaked lime, also known as calcium hydroxide. You don't pronounce, although whatever you're saying is hydroxide, it's a रुक के नहीं बोलते hydroxide, है ना? Like when you say that stylish name Senorita, Senorita, not like the hydroxide in one go. Calcium hydroxide. What is calcium hydroxide again? Sir, weak base. Can be also used as antacid also. चूने का पानी, weak base. Calcium hydroxide. And this is what painters are also using for whitewash. Okay? This is what painters use for whitewash. Now this CaOH2 is actually formation of precipitate में भी आएगा ये. This is also a precipitate. Formation of precipitate में भी आता है ये. This is a precipitate. So what we do, the painters will do, they will use a muslin cloth and filter it. After you filter it, what you get is absolutely water. That item is actually the antacid. ये antacid part को ना यहाँ से मिटा देते हैं. So when you filter it, then it becomes lime water. This mild you can drink also. At a mild stage you can drink for acidity or indigestion. You can drink it. And painters will use this. Now this is known as lime water. So lime water, CaOH2, reacts with CO2 in the atmosphere and becomes CaCO3. Again, CaCO3 is a precipitate. This is known as limestone, also known as calcium carbonate. And this is, so what we said, we filtered it, and after filtering it was lime water. So children, when it is lime water, this item is absolutely clear. So this was clear, and this clear will have clouding, and this clouding is nothing but, you will see milky formation out here. So this is the story of lime water turning milky. Have you understood? The limestone, which is calcium carbonate, and this is also present in eggshells. Basic, you can crush it and put on flower pots which are acidic in nature. Limestone is calcium carbonate, and they are present in eggshell. So in this reaction, what should we do? And in order to understand this reaction, the CO2 that you produced, you should pass through lime water. There is another part of this reaction also that we'll study later, that if you pass excess of CO2, then you can actually dissolve this. Too much of CO2 if you pass, then this can be dissolved. So have you understood the entire, we have covered everything that we could cover. Calcium, group 2, hey. Painters use, लिखा था ना, painters use it for whitewash. ठीक है, done. Understood? नेक्स्ट वाला करने से आप लेट हो जाओगे. So this is the way we will do. But all these effort of mine, more than mine, your effort will all go in vain if you don't study this. ठीक है, कहानी तो इसको यहाँ पे खत्म करते हैं.